Hi, I'm Pastor Yanni, and the word of transformation I'm going to share with you is the vision is for an appointed time. That's right, the vision, the dreams, the hopes, the things that God has placed in your spirit, they're all for an appointed time. Well, what is an appointed time? An appointed time is a set time. It is a time that God has already ordained for everything that He has spoken in your life to come to pass. That's right. Everything that God has spoken in your life, it shall surely come to pass. See, when God speaks something to you, if you're like me, you begin to start talking and you telling everybody, you're like, God said this and God said that, God's going to do this and God's going to do that. And then it's like a year later and you really don't see it. There's another year, you don't see it. And then you begin to question, like, wait a minute, what happened? Did I miss you? There's people that will look at you and say, well, wait a minute. If you said, God said this and God said that, why haven't we seen it yet? Why haven't it came forth yet? And let me tell you, God spoke to me over the last couple days, and He began to tell me that there is an appointed time. See, time is like a filter. It works as a filter. It will filter out those people who truly believe God versus those people who don't believe God. For instance, if you believe God, then it doesn't matter how long it takes for something to happen. You believe God and you're going to stand on it and you are not going to be moved. If you don't believe God, the enemy will be able to shift you right out of position. I'll give you an example with Elijah and Elisha. Elisha wanted something. He wanted the mantle he wanted Elijah's mantle, and he wanted it. And you know what? Elijah didn't tell him, okay, well, on September 2nd, I'm going to be taken up to heaven, and when I get taken up that day, you'll receive it. No, you know what Elijah told him? He said, if you are still around, if you are still connected to me, if you're there, if you can endure time, if time does not shift you off, and you're looking at your clock and you say, wait a minute, I wanted this mantle, and it's been X amount of years, and I haven't got it yet, I'm out of here. No, Elijah told him, if you're still around, you're going to receive it. And guess what? Elisha was not able to be filtered out. He stood, and he stood right there, and as a result, he received what God had in store for him. Time, the enemy will also try to use that against us to make us doubt God. All it takes is a couple of weeks, a couple of months of saying, or even a couple of years of saying the same thing. God's going to do this, God's going to do that, before the enemy begins to tell you, are you sure God said that? Are you sure that this is really going to happen? And he begins to work on your mind and to make you doubt him. Or he'll make you try to do something prematurely before you're even ready. I'll give you an example of that. Abraham and Sarah, the Lord told him, He said, Abraham, you are going to have a son. And because time was not on their favor, they were old in their age, Abraham and Sarah, they came up with a plan. We're going to help out God. And as a result, they birthed Ishmael, who was not the promised child. So what am I saying? I'm saying that as long as you stay connected to God, as long as you stay believing what God has spoken to you, that the things that God has said, they will come to pass. See, the enemy will use even people to voice your own doubts. He'll say, you know what, this hasn't happened, that hasn't happened. And, he'll use people. And it's crazy because it's not just strangers. He'll use the people that are closest to you, people that you think are going to be there for you, to encourage you, and to continue to encourage you. Because my thing is this, why encourage me when I first start walking, but sometimes I need the encouragement when I first start walking, but it's after it seems like the vision is taking a long time that I need the encouragement of don't give up, don't lose hope. And oftentimes what you'll see is during those times when it takes a long time for your ministry to grow, for your business to grow, for the things that you're supposed to be doing for the kingdom to happen. It seems like it takes a long time. And you'll begin to see people. People will be sitting around and they'll tell you 1 minute they're with you and the next minute they seem like they're against you because now they're attacking you. Well, why didn't this happen? And it almost reminds me of Jesus when he was on the cross. They said, listen, if you really are the Son of God, why don't you come down off of that cross? But you know what? Jesus wasn't moved by what people said. And the same thing for us. We can't be moved by what people say to us. As a matter of fact, in John, I believe, the disciples were telling him, come on, let's get this ball rolling. Do what you came to do. And Jesus told them, he said, my time hasn't come yet. See, for you, any time is good for you. But my time hasn't come. And see, that's the thing that you and I both have to understand is our timing. Because God wants our timing to line up to what He wants us to be prepared for what He has in store for us. See, a lot of times we might think we're ready for something. We might think we're ready for abundance of finances. We might think that we're ready for a lot of people to be at our ministry. We might think that we're ready to be traveling all over and doing the will of God. And we might think we're ready. But you know what? God knows. And that's why He has an appointed time and He has a set time for it to happen. And while we're waiting for these manifestations to happen, He's working on us. He's dealing with us. He's delivering us from issues, from whatever is hindering us. For me, I'll be honest, I have a spirit of procrastination. And, I've had somebody recently tell me, well, and they were basically telling me all my flaws. And you're a procrastinator. You're this, you're that. And they were telling me all of these different things as to why things have not came yet. But the one thing that the Lord began to show me, He said, you know what, Ayana? Because you are in my will and you're doing what I told you to do, everything that is stopping you, whether it's procrastination, whether it's laziness, whether it's unbelief, whether it's insecurity, whatever it is, as long as you stay connected to me, I'm going to deliver you out of it. And the reason why is because He said, first of all, I gave you that vision. I gave you the idea to have that business. I gave you that. And whatever God has given us, let me tell you something. He is the one that's going to sit over it and look and see that it happens. And I'm not trying to say that we don't have any active role, because we do. We do have an active role. But there's a lot of stumbling blocks that have come in our way. And, there's a lot of different personality things, and there's a lot of different issues that we have as just humans that maybe somebody else has. I'll give an example. There are some people that are go-getters. You know what? They got a vision. They don't have no problem. They're running. They go and they make it happen. And then there's some people that, it seems like they got it. They hear God, but they have problems implementing what they heard. And so I'll ask you a question. Who do you think God would get the most glory out of actually performing what was spoken out of their own mouth? Would it be the one that says, God told me I'm going to have this business? And you already know their spirit is already a business person. They already know how to make things happen. They already know how to do this. They know how to do that. And that's a blessing when you see that, okay, it happened for them. But what about the person that said, God told me I'm going to have a business, and you looking at that person, and that person is a procrastinator, that person don't have any business sense, that person, you looking at that person like, are you serious? Did God really tell you that? To me, that one will be the one that God would get the most glory. It's a story in John chapter 9 when there was a man who was born blind. And the disciples said to Jesus, they said, well, whose fault is it? Is it his fault? Is it his parents' fault? Whose fault is it that this man is born blind? And you know what Jesus said? He said it's not his fault and it's not his parents' fault. It was that the work of God would be made manifest in his life. What does that mean? That the power of God is displayed when we're weakest. The power of God is displayed the most when we are at our worst. That when he is so famous for turning beauty out of ashes, from turning those things. He said he will use the foolish things to confound the wise. So to me, and from what I've seen in the scriptures, that God gets the glory out of your life when he gives you something that you know is going to take him to bring it out of you. It's going to take him to encourage you. It's going to take him to deliver you out of procrastination. I just want to tell you, I don't care what your issue is. I don't care what you are facing. If you would just follow after God, if you would just keep doing what God has told you to do, if you will continue to just be faithful, if you're found faithful, you might not know how to have for instance, with me, with starting this book publishing company, I said, okay, God, you showed me this. Now how do I do it? God told me, he said, just be faithful in doing what I already told you to do. And as you make that first step, then God will make the next step, or he'll show you the next step. As you do that, he'll show you the next one. The other thing is we have to commit our ways to him. We have to not lean into our own understanding. Well, let me just go ahead and make it happen. Let me do it like this. No, we have to say, God, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. And we have to be honest with our struggles. God, I procrastinate. God, I get distracted. God, I don't understand why I get excited one minute and the next minute I'm just feeling like I'm having doubts. We have to be, honest with God and tell it to him. And he said, those that are weak, he's going to be our strength. He's going to be the one to lift us up. He's going to be the one to encourage us. He is going to be the one. Listen, don't look for people to do it, because people will they'll be the main ones telling you, well, why ain't it happened yet? Why didn't this happen? You keep saying all of that. That's what people does. But God is going to continue to work with you. He's going to continue to encourage you. He's going to continue to motivate you. He's going to be the one to do it. And at the end of the day, you're going to be able to look back and you're going to say, I know that was God. And the same way you're going to look at that, the same people, those doubters, those haters, those people who spoke evil against you, they're going to be the ones that look back and they're going to say, you know what? That was God as well. In closing, I just want to give you a couple of scriptures, and I want to just share with you what God is speaking to me about 2011. 1 Corinthians 4 and 5 says, therefore judge nothing before its appointed time. We can't judge a person. We can't judge a ministry. We can't judge a business before its appointed time. Right now, it might look like it's not anything. Right now, it might look like it's not going to happen. Just like with the people. They looked at Jesus while he was hanging on the cross, and they automatically judged him and said, you don't have no power. But guess what? When the third day, when he rose back up, he had the keys. He said, all power is in my hand. I have overcome the world. And let me tell you something. That's going to be the same testimony that someone else is going to have. Somebody that's watching is going to have that same testimony. People are looking at you. They're doubting you. They don't believe that you're going to be delivered. They don't believe that you're going to have that business. They don't believe that your ministry is going to grow. And you're looking like you are in a bad spot right now, but God is going to raise you up, and you're going to raise up, and you're going to say, I have overcome procrastination. I have overcome doubt. I have overcome insecurity. I have overcome all the things that were trying to hold me down. I have overcome. Psalms 18 and 32 says, it is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. It's not people, it's God. When God gives you something, let me tell you something, he's going to give you the strength, and he's going to make that way secure for you. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Thy mercy, O Lord, endureth forever. God is going to perfect you, and God is going to perfect me. Though the vision tarry, you wait on it, for it shall surely come to pass in your life. Be confident of this very thing, that he that begun a good work in you will perform it unto the day of Jesus Christ. That's Philippians 1:6. I'm telling you, that's an awesome thing, because anything that God has started in your life, if he started you on a path of getting to know him, he is going to continue to work at it and perfect it until the day of Jesus comes back for you. If God started a business idea in your heart, he started it, he begun it, he's going to complete it. So I just want to just encourage you, and even myself, that it doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter what your situation looks like. It doesn't even matter what you say. As long as you are putting God first, as long as you're telling God, God, I need you, God is going to be the one to answer your needs. And he's going to be the one to move in your life. And you're going to watch and see some awesome things. I want to share and send confirmation for 2011. The Lord spoke to me, and he told me, he said, Ayana, 2011 is going to be a supernatural year. It is going to be a year of supernatural blessings. It is going to be a year of supernatural favor. It is going to be a supernatural a year that you're going to see supernatural things happen in the lives of the believer. So I want to encourage you. You have labored, but guess what? The harvest is coming. You have toiled, guess what? The harvest is coming. And for those who God has already spoken and told them that it's coming, I want to just send confirmation. 2011 is the appointed year for your vision to come to pass. In Jesus' name.